This is Representative Jeff Van Drew of New Jersey bringing Merrick Garland, who I was convinced was either a ghost or some sort of AI creation before he was hauled in front of the Judiciary Committee the other day, because Merrick Garland is arguably, in my opinion, Biden's worst appointee, given the prominence of his position as the head of the Department of Justice, and his complete lack of desire to be front-facing or aggressive in any really meaningful way. He was picked by Obama initially before his nomination was sank or sunk, whatever the word is, because he was such an anodyne centrist who shouldn't offend any of the conservatives. That was Obama's terrible logic. And here he is, fast forward, as the Attorney General now, in front of the Judiciary Committee, because they are accusing him of politicizing the office. After Donald Trump, let's be real, tried to appoint a guy that was going to use the Insurrection Act by his own admission, according to the indictment, the Jack Smith indictment, to keep Trump in power. That was one of the anti-democratic efforts that Trump was engaged in before January 6th. Now Republicans are accusing Biden of politicizing the Attorney General's office. It's so patently absurd because Merrick Garland has not done enough, in my opinion. But this is Jeff Andrews' question about this memo about potential traditional Catholics targeting abortion clinics, for example. That was what the nature of it was.
The abortion clinic, I think, was a separate targeting aspect. This is apparently this memo said that there was links to white supremacist affiliations between traditional Catholic organizations and sects in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. Notice that
would be pretty uncontroversial. I mean,
it's totally uncontroversial.
And it was ultimately in John Jay. It was ultimately revoked, and the FBI director and Garland were that was appalling, and we
of course,
condemn that.
And they would never, ever revoke what they did with countless Muslim organizations where there were, or Black Lives Matter,
Black
or whatever.
identity extremists.
Yeah, exactly. That's just par for the course.
Sounds like someone got fired for truth there, but anyway.
Well, exactly. And Merrick Garland, because he is this guy, apologizes for this in this question. But I just also, this is the before we play it, these hearings are supposedly about him influencing the Department of Justice over the Hunter Biden investigation into him lying on an application for a gun, saying he was sober when he wasn't. Merrick Garland has appointed a Trump-appointed Republican Attorney General and kept him on the Hunter Biden case. So it doesn't matter if he's the most completely innocuous, ineffectual centrist in the world. It doesn't matter if he appoints a Republican to lead this investigation that Republicans begged for into Hunter Biden. They will still accuse him of bias, and this was one example.
Do you agree that traditional Catholics are violent extremists? Yes or no?
Let me answer what you've said in that long list of statements, and I'll be happy to answer all of those.
Attorney General, I control the time. I'm going to ask you to answer the questions I asked.
You controlled time by asking me a substantial number of things. And
I didn't ask you those things. I made a statement. Attorney General, through the chair, I ask you, do you agree that traditional Catholics are violent extremists?
Look, I have no idea what the traditional means here.
Catholics,
let me
Catholics that go to church.
May I answer your question?
Yes,
the idea that someone with my family background would discriminate against any religion is so outrageous, so absurd.
Mr. Attorney General, it was your FBI that did this. It was your FBI that was sending, and we have the memos, we have the emails, we're sending undercover agents into Catholic churches.
Both I and the director of the FBI have said that we were appalled. Have said that we were appalled by that memo.
So then you agree that they're not extremists?
We were appalled by that memo.
Are they extremists or not, Attorney General?
I think that...
Are they extremists or not, Attorney General?
Everything in that memo is
Are they
appalling.
Extremists or not? I'm asking a simple question. Say no if you think that was wrong.
Catholics are not extremists. No.
Which congressperson is this again?
This is Jeff Van Drew from New Jersey, who, fun fact, when he came into Congress, was a Democrat.
Yeah, that's that guy from Southern New Jersey. Yes.
I was sort of distracted by like his Larry David-esque cadence. He has like a Larry David-esque way of talking. I can't quite put my finger on it. Did anyone else notice that, or is it just me?
I don't pick up on that, Bender, but you're entitled to your opinion.
This is also one of Van Drew's more understated outfits. He usually dresses like the Riddler, but this was a little bit of a more muted look for him today.
Well, he had to be somber given the persecution of Catholics in the United States.
But yes, per the Catholic News Agency, this memo dated January 23rd of this year and leaked to the media in February revealed an FBI Richmond investigation into radical traditionalist Catholics and their possible ties to the far-right white nationalist movement. It suggests a tripwire or source development within Latin Mass communities to mitigate risks. The FBI quickly retracted the memo shortly after it was made public. Both Garland and FBI Director Christopher Wray have condemned the memo.
It is
well, I mean, it's not a mosque.
Yeah, I know, right?
But like as somebody who grew up Catholic, like the idea, like there are absolutely white supremacist Catholics. That's a huge problem there. And just in like,
right.
But in general, like there are entire like white Catholics are often think like fucking the current pope is the Antichrist because he's too woke on diversity stuff. But also no like normal Catholics call themselves traditional Catholics. That's the thing for online white supremacist adjacent people to describe themselves. Like I've never been like, oh yeah, we're going to traditional Catholic mass. No, if you're Catholic, you just go to Catholic mass. What is this traditional bullshit? That's because probably Van Drew has white supremacist Catholics on his staff. Would be my I just hazard a guess.
I would not be shocked if in his district in Jersey, can you look up what his district is? Does it include Trenton or is it Camden? What is how far south is he? Regardless, there's a significant like Irish-Italian coalition of people who are probably cops who are Catholic and very right-wing who he's appealing to there.
Yeah, no, it's like the beach. It's like Long Beach Island and Atlantic City and
but so still similar constituencies.
Yeah, but like the southernmost areas.
Yes, that's a very conservative part of Jersey, and I was shocked to see Garland get so emotional in this instance. Like, I mean, the context is that he has family members who were in the Holocaust. His ancestors came to, I think his grandparents came to the U.S. to flee pogroms, and that is why he got like visibly upset there. But this is what a lifetime of basically trying to, not a lifetime, but Garland is emblematic of you can be as inoffensive as humanly possible. You can be as like institutional,
collaborate with them,
and centrist as humanly possible in the Democratic Party, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going to be accused of being religiously bigoted against Catholics, amongst a litany of other accusations, including the fact that his office is in some way impeding this nonsense Hunter Biden investigation. Like, it is just such a lesson, I think, for anybody that wants to engage with the Republican Party, that you can't give them enough leeway, because they're always going to come after you regardless. It's not a good faith body of human beings.
A lesson that won't be learned, by the way, because anyone who picks up on that is basically you're preaching to the choir, and anyone who thinks you can work with them is not going to learn that lesson. Yeah, I mean, it was very interesting to hear. And, to Matt's point, when I sort of, as someone who was raised Catholic, when we would hear the word traditional, it'd be like, oh, the mass is going to be in Latin?
Right.
Like, that's all that means.
Yeah. But now it means like I am basically like a reactionary non-believer, irony poisoned online, and I need something to believe in. This is an established hierarchy that's been going along for a long time. I'm just going to basically fly this flag, which to me, as somebody who like went to Catholic mass like every Sunday growing up, that's almost as big a red flag as jumping in and saying, I support Russell Brand, LOL.
Right.
Yeah.
No,
a lot of Roman statues, avatars were messaging the good congressman person.
Right. A lot of people who use Catholicism as a cool, hip, edgy aesthetic, and they're hanging out at weird right-wing bars in the Lower East Side or wherever they are.
Burning
they
through
get
Peter
written
Thiel.
up in New Yorker or whatever magazine they always seem to cover as that. Is the youth becoming more edgy and right-wing? And it's like the same 15 people funded by Peter Thiel.
Exactly. We just covered this yesterday.
Well, a lot of them are just like
actually.
evangelicals.
Right.
They're just like, radical evangelicals who like, stained glass windows. So they
they like the in
Pomp and
typical
circumstance
fascist tradition, they like the pomp and circumstance, they like the ritualistic nature of it, and they probably like the hierarchies and the fact that, like, for example, Catholic leadership is predominantly is entirely male. And that kind of thing, and so it's a mainstream filter for them to view their extremist views through. So that's what that is, and that's a great point by you guys on that front. Moody Monkey says, or Latin Mass Catholics, they do not believe in Second Vatican Conference and the conversion of Mass from Latin and the language of spoken by the members.
But
okay.
I mean, maybe that just wasn't as big in North Dakota. But I remember people lamenting the loss of Latin Mass. But absolutely, I mean, and actually, I know there's churches that still would bring it back occasionally, but we didn't go to those, and nobody that actually complained about it went to those either.
I mean, the only people who were complaining about the loss of Latin Mass were old Italian grandmas, though. It wasn't some
exactly.
hardcore we're white supremacists.
Young white kids who grew up reading Harry Potter wanted to go to Latin Mass, and now they're complaining that they're speaking it in Spanish or some shit. It's
I legit think that these right wingers that adopt Catholicism do it because it has the sort of spooky mysticism of a Hogwarts. And I as a grown up Catholic, I still remember going to old churches and be like, "Ooh, what was behind that door? That only the priest gets to go."
Well, they love that. They love ancient archival texts with eternal truths. It's why there's so much ritual in the KKK of the Grand Wizard and the freaking outfits and all that
Cyclops.
stuff.
Yeah,
they love that shit.
I gotta say, it's not all that great. It's kind of boring as someone who had a Catholic education for 16 years of my life. It's nothing. It really isn't all crazy and mystical. It's really it's just I don't want to offend anybody, but
no, it's boring as hell. I remember the mysticism of ooh, what's behind that area that well if you have to go back there because you're helping with communion or passing the hat or whatever, then all of a sudden you get demystified, just there's
a priest fondling a boy.
Well, I mean, I didn't see anything like that
behind that door.
Yeah.